All right, today I want to talk about AI. If you've been following gaming news, you probably saw the controversy around Arc Raiders. Shortly after launch, players suspected the game included AI generated voice lines. They were right, and that discovery ignited a heated debate about AI in game development. Arc Raiders publisher Nexon responded bluntly, saying, "Assume that every game company is now using AI." And if you think that's shocking, well, it shouldn't be. AI isn't some distant threat on the horizon. It's already woven into game development in more ways than you realize, and it's not going anywhere. This shift has been brewing publicly for some years, but Arc Raiders marked one of the first times it tangibly affected players, and that's why this story exploded. AI is everywhere these days, and it seems to conjure up a lot of skepticism and anxiety, particularly around creative fields. I'm not here to tell you that that skepticism is justified or not. Instead, I just want to offer you a balanced take because every time video games and AI get mentioned together, people assume the worst. So today we're going to take an honest look at what is actually happening. We'll talk about the companies who are investing in AI, how it's being used right now, and what people across the industry have to say about it. So stick around because some of this might surprise you. Before we dive in, let's clarify what we mean by AI. I'm not talking about the enemy pathfinding or procedural generation in a game like Minecraft. Those things are traditional game AI. The AI we're discussing includes machine learning models, large language models like ChatGPT, diffusion tools for image generation, and agentic systems that automate tasks with minimal human oversight. These technologies learn from massive data sets, they recognize patterns, and then they can generate text, code, images, and even 3D assets. This video won't be a technical deep dive, but understanding the basics matters because this AI is fundamentally different than what came before. It's more versatile, more powerful, and far more disruptive. Companies are embracing this technology because AAA game development has become almost unsustainable. Games are increasingly complex, they take years to create, and they've become obscenely expensive, with many AAA titles costing hundreds of millions of dollars to produce. AI promises something that every studio desperately needs: agility. It can automate testing, translate dialogue into dozens of languages, help animators with blocking, assist programmers with generic code, and let designers iterate faster. Whether you think this is good or bad is really beside the point. The pressure in this industry is so immense, and AI is being sold as the solution to keep up. And the industry is buying. Several major studios have publicly announced AI initiatives, and if you followed gaming for any length of time, you can probably guess the names of these studios. It's the usual suspects. This past January, Microsoft announced a plan to invest $80 billion into AI and incorporate it into every product it offers, including Xbox. Electronic Arts has been the loudest about their AI support. In May of 2024, CEO Andrew Wilson told investors that he believes more than 50% of our development processes will be positively impacted by advances in generative AI. At another event that September, Wilson called AI the very core of our business. And earlier this year, he doubled down, saying AI is powering our future. This guy cannot wait to plug all of us into the Matrix. Just listen to this 2016 interview he gave with The Verge.
From the minute I get up in the morning, everything I do has an impact on my gaming life, both discrete and indiscrete. The amount of eggs I have in my internet-enabled fridge might mean my Sims are better off in my game. The length of distance I drive in my Tesla on the way to work might mean that I get more juice in Need for Speed. If I go to soccer practice in the afternoon by virtue of internet-enabled soccer boots, that might give me juice or new cards in my FIFA product.
Now, I don't know about you, but the phrase internet-enabled soccer boots just makes me want to hurl. And please hit me with your best Andrew Wilson joke in the comments. Anyway, last month, EA announced a partnership with Stability AI, the company behind Stable Diffusion, which is a text-to-image tool that can generate images, video, audio, and 3D assets just from a prompt. EA even has a dedicated AI and machine learning page on its website. They're all in on this technology, and they're not alone. Sony has been equally aggressive. In 2023, they launched Enterprise LLM, a proprietary AI tool now used by more than 210 internal organizations with over 50,000 active users. And according to their 2025 corporate report, they've conducted over 300 pilot projects with this tool to see where it can offer the business the most value. Sony's position is crystal clear. Quote, "We see the use of generative AI as a starting point for enhancing productivity, reforming work processes, and inspiring creativity." They also partnered with PDI to create GT Sophie, described as a superhuman racing AI agent for Gran Turismo. There's a whole documentary about this, but honestly, it's kind of goofy. Square Enix recently outlined ambitious AI plans too. Their 2025 progress report states that they want to automate 70% of QA and debugging tasks by the end of 2027 to improve efficiency and establish a competitive advantage. Krafton, the publisher behind PUBG, announced a $70 million investment in October to enable an AI-first transformation focused on increasing productivity and accelerating corporate value growth. And then there's Ubisoft, probably my least favorite player in the AAA space. In 2023, they unveiled Ghostwriter, an in-house AI tool we'll discuss later. And in their latest earnings call, CEO Yves Guillemot called AI a revolution for our industry and said they're making great strides in applying generative AI to high-value use cases. This isn't an exhaustive list, of course, but the message is clear. Major players are embracing AI and laying the foundation for an AI-enabled future. Not everyone is on board the AI train, of course. Nintendo's Shigeru Miyamoto said the company will pursue a different direction. Unknown Worlds, the developers of Subnautica 2, explicitly stated they won't use generative AI, despite their publisher Krafton's AI-first strategy. Obsidian Entertainment confirmed they're not using AI for The Outer Worlds 2, and Sven Vink, the CEO of Larian Studios, said in early 2024 that they won't be replacing artists or writers with AI anytime soon. These 4 studios, along with a few others, are openly bucking the trend. But like Nexon's statement that we talked about earlier, it's safe to assume that everyone else is either using or experimenting with AI unless they explicitly state otherwise. And this brings us to a crucial point. It's more important to understand how a company is using AI rather than treating it as a monolithic threat. Nobody wants to see artists replaced by algorithms, but there are sensible and legitimate applications for this technology. So let's examine a few use cases on an escalating scale of concern, from benign applications to more controversial ones. Insomniac's Spider-Man 2 used AI subtly and sensibly. According to Sony, voice recognition software synchronized subtitles with voice lines during localization. In other words, an AI tool aligned voiceover tracks with translated subtitles across multiple languages. This is a tedious but necessary task that humans previously handled. And using AI here really isn't shameful or unethical. It's really just more efficient, and that's it. If you ask me, there's no alarm bells needed for something like this. EA's College Football 25 leveraged AI very heavily during development. In fact, Andrew Wilson said they couldn't have made the game without it. They created a machine learning toolkit that combined assets like head shapes, hairstyles, skin tones, facial hair, and eyebrows, along with reference photos of real players to produce the 3D models. Essentially, the AI received a bucket full of Lego pieces, developers showed it a player's photo, and the AI was able to reconstruct that player using the bricks that it had available. Now, before you judge this too harshly, consider the alternative: artists creating these models by hand, one at a time. This game features 11,390 real players. When you add in the coaches and the fans, you're looking at over 16,000 character models. How many 3D artists would you need to create 16,000 high-quality models in a few years? And more importantly, would College Football 25 be a materially better game if every model was handcrafted? Does anyone actually care whether each player's likeness was captured by a human versus an algorithm? Now, I haven't played this game myself, but find it hard to imagine that this really harmed the game. In fact, I think this technology is cool and it could be used in other games to make more NPC variety. So yes, I'm going to defend EA here. I think this use is totally fine. But let's get into some murkier territory. Ubisoft's Ghostwriter AI generates NPC barks, which are basically background dialogue or random NPC chatter that you hear in-game. Think about something like "I took an arrow in the knee" from Skyrim. Ubisoft conveniently said that writing barks is, quote, one of the video game writer's most laborious tasks, and they claim Ghostwriter isn't replacing writers. Instead, it's freeing them from filler content so they can polish the narrative. Now, the tool writes the first draft, then actual writers come in and refine the output. But here's the question. As this tool improves, will it eventually write barks entirely on its own? Will it expand beyond barks to other dialogue? This might seem acceptable now, but in a short time we'll be dangerously close to the line, and eventually we may cross it. I mean, we're talking about Ubisoft after all. The company is already struggling and likely looking for a competitive edge. Ghostwriter may seem harmless now, but I would not be surprised if they continue to lean on AI very heavily in the near future. Anyway, let's continue. Call of Duty represents one of the more egregious examples of AI use. Last February, the Call of Duty HQ Steam page confirmed that developers were using generative AI to create assets, a disclosure which is now required by Steam. This followed credible leaks from inside Activision. According to a Wired article from last year, leadership told employees that AI was top of mind in 2023. Later that year, the company approved the use of generative AI tools for creating concept art and marketing materials. Months later, Activision released an AI-generated cosmetic for purchase in Modern Warfare 3's Yokai's Wrath DLC. Then came the infamous Zombie Santa loading screen in Black Ops 6, and if you notice, he has 6 fingers, a telltale sign of generative AI. And this is all happening amidst layoffs and mounting anxiety inside the studio. One source in the Wired article said that artists were forced to use AI to aid in their work, and another lamented, why get a bunch of expensive concept artists or designers when you can get an art director to give some bad directions to an AI and get stuff that's good enough? Now, I won't recap the entire Wired article here, but I do encourage you to read it yourself. And pro tip, if you get hit with a paywall, copy paste the URL into the Wayback Machine and open the oldest version of the webpage. You're welcome. So the situation at Activision seems pretty dire. The studio clearly has no qualms about releasing low-quality AI slop, nor do they seem to respect their artists. This feels like the first step toward the worst-case scenario. Force artists to use AI, train the AI on their work, fire half the team, and then pump out mediocre content with a who-cares attitude. I'd say I'm surprised, but this company is owned by Microsoft. This is their playbook. And there's one other company walking this path, and guess what? Microsoft owns them too. King, the developer behind Candy Crush, started using AI sometime around late 2024. Now, Candy Crush initially launched back in 2012 and now boasts over 18,000 levels. Maintaining that massive content library put a lot of strain on the team, so an AI tool was deployed to help update older levels, allowing developers to focus on creating new content instead. At least, that's how the story was reported earlier this year. Fast forward to summer, and we see this. Laid off King staff set to be replaced by the AI tools they helped create. And unfortunately, that headline is not clickbait. King laid off over 200 people, including many level designers. These people were asked to create and train a tool that quickly replaced them. This is exactly what people fear. Concerns about job losses or the erosion of creativity is really where this conversation starts to heat up. And while we can understand the business logic behind these decisions, they still feel cold at best or unethical at worst. And worst of all, we will likely see more of this kind of thing in the future. But let's switch gears for a minute and see what people in the industry are actually saying about AI, and it's not as cut and dry as you might think. Now, unsurprisingly, most of the corporate types are all in on AI. Tim Stewart, the CFO at Xbox, spoke at a 2023 summit saying, "I've never been more excited for a technology shift in the gaming landscape." Now, he basically goes on to call AI the greatest thing since sliced bread. And no offense to Tim, but he's clearly not a creative and probably doesn't have a deep understanding of software development or creative endeavors. He's a finance guy. But many prominent creatives share his excitement. In an interview with Wired Japan, Hideo Kojima spoke very positively about AI, calling it a friend that can help developers come up with ideas and boost efficiency. He continued saying, "I'd like AI to handle the tedious tasks that would lower costs and cut down on time. It's more like co-creating with AI instead of just using it. I see a future where I stay one step ahead, creating together with AI." Glenn Schofield, the co-creator of Dead Space, expressed very similar views, saying that AI isn't here to replace us. It's just here to make us better, faster, and more efficient. And AI is for all of us. It really is. It's not just for directors and artists, it's for writers and marketing execs too. Interestingly, he addressed job loss fears head on, saying, "History shows us that every major technological leap creates whole new industries, opportunities, and specialists. When cell phones appeared, people worried about operators and payphones. Instead, we ended up with billions of devices, new apps, streaming, and millions of jobs that didn't exist before." In another interview with The Games Business, Schofield noted that technologies like Photoshop and motion capture faced the same skepticism when they first entered the market. They may have eliminated some jobs, but they also created new roles. In a presentation at Gamescom Asia earlier this year, Schofield also described the games industry as being broken, beaten, and battered. And he's right about that. You don't have to work in the industry to know about the brutal layoffs and crunch culture. We've all seen the headlines. The creator of Kirby echoed this sentiment, saying, "It is becoming unsustainable to continue producing large games on the scale that companies currently do, as it requires too much work. The only effective breakthrough I can think of at the moment is generative AI. I think we are getting to the point where AAA studios have to change their way of working by using generative AI to improve efficiency. I think if we are in an era where only the companies that successfully respond to these changes will be able to survive. Megan Junio, the former co-studio head at Sony Santa Monica and director of product development on God of War, made a similar point, saying, if we don't embrace AI, I think we're selling ourselves short. AI is a tool. It's going to evolve whether you're on board with it or not. Daniel Vivara, director of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, said, it really annoys me that the games take so much time because I have more ideas than I have time. I hope that the AI revolution will help with this, where in the future we will not be replaced by AI, but we will be helped by AI. And circling back to Arc Raiders for a minute, Arrowhead CEO Shams Jorjani called Arc Raiders AI use a very interesting use case that actually makes gaming better. Speaking on the Games Business show, Jorjani argued that AI will help teams create more efficiently, which means more games for everyone. Epic's Tim Sweeney has also been very outspoken in his support for AI, saying in a series of X posts, this technology increases human productivity in some cases by integer multiples. He continued saying, game developers compete to build the best games in order to attract gamers. When tech increases productivity, competition leads to building better games rather than employing fewer people. Now, of course, not everyone is as enthusiastic as these folks. Former director of Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk 2077, Konrad Tomaskowicz, told Eurogamer, I'm not totally against AI, but it needs to be a tool that helps us, not something which steals because it learns from the creations of others. He added, you need to have people who have this creative fire, who want to prove something, who want to tell you a story and create emotion. A machine will not understand us as much. Dan Houser, the co-founder of Rockstar, gave a measured response when asked about AI. He said, it's not as useful as some of the companies would have you believe. It's not going to solve all of the problems. It's great at some things, but it can't do others. And Yoko Taro, the director of Nier Automata, was a little more cynical. Speaking with Famitsu, he said, AI will make all game creators unemployed. In 50 years, game creators may be treated like bards. This is an anxiety that a lot of people share. There was a GDC survey, the state of the games industry, that found that 30% of respondents believe that generative AI is actively hurting the industry. And this makes sense. While the executives and high-profile creatives get excited about AI's potential, it's the people who are in the trenches who are most at risk of losing their jobs. And as we saw with the Candy Crush team over at King, AI is already costing people their jobs, and just about every company that we've mentioned so far in this video has admitted, at least in some fashion, that the use of AI will likely lead to more job losses. It's not just employees who are at risk either. Both EA and Take-Two included disclaimers about potential reputational risk in their annual 10K filings. EA noted that AI use could lead to legal and reputational harm or cause players to lose confidence in our business and brands. Take-Two cited regulatory scrutiny, litigation, confidentiality or security risks, ethical concerns, and negative user perceptions as risks that could affect business, reputation, and financial results. So while many companies are eager to embrace AI, it is not without risk. Despite the caution and the differing opinions, one thing is clear. This technology is rapidly changing nearly every part of production, and as it improves, its potential only grows. AI will likely be the catalyst for the next generational leap in game design, and not because of automated QA testing or localization. The potential is far greater. Let me give you one example: conversational NPCs. This has become one of the most exciting AI applications in gaming. Conversational NPCs are characters you can talk to using your own words instead of selecting dialogue options. That means no more dialogue wheels or scripted conversations. A conversational NPC could generate responses on the fly, drawing from its personality, history, location, and your past interactions. You could ask someone in Skyrim about the weather or the Greybeards, and they'd respond in kind. Then they might even ask you why you have so much skooma. Now, I don't know about you, but that sounds absolutely mind-blowing. It would make worlds feel more alive, more like improv or a real conversation rather than traditional roleplay with branching scripted conversations. Conversational NPCs are already making their way into some games today, and I won't dive into that too much now since this video is long enough already, but if you want to know more, I recommend you check out these articles here. So, is AI good or bad for games? Well, it's complicated. These tools are undeniably powerful with immense potential, and they aren't going away. AI will be disruptive to the industry and cost jobs, but it will also bring efficiency, and that may be just what the industry needs right now. AI in game development isn't the end of creativity either. It's not Skynet or a magic wand. It's a set of shiny new tools that will almost certainly reshape every aspect of game development. But tools alone can't make art, and while some companies may use AI to mass produce low quality content, entertainment media have been dealing with that problem for years already. Just look at games like Day One Gary's Incident or The Day Before. Bad actors will always exist. The real question is, how will studios choose to use AI? Will it streamline processes and automate tedious tasks, or will it become a shortcut that stifles creativity and displaces workers? It comes down to transparency and ethics, and that's where you come in. Stay informed, ask questions, and pay attention to what these studios are doing. If you don't like certain AI uses, the strongest signal you can send is with your wallet. Support the games you believe in and ignore the ones you don't. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you learned something. Tell me in the comments what you think about AI. Do you like AI? Do you not care? Are you gonna boycott any game that comes out that's got AI? Let me know what you think. Also, big thank you to all of you who watched the last video. That video got a lot more traction than I thought it would. Really loved hearing all your perspectives in the comments below. So thank you for the views, the shares, the likes, all of that. Really appreciate it. I know this video was a little bit different, but I promise more content like that is coming in the future, so stick around. I think the next video I'm going to talk about a 360 game, a 360 launch title that I really love, and probably do a video about nostalgia and why it's such a powerful emotion. So stick around, stay tuned for those. Anyway, see you guys in the next one, and thanks again.